else or what all else we're going to talk about. Welcome, Matthew.
Thank you. Well, what, a moped? You guys ride mopeds? Is that why or what?
The story behind that is we picked a name for our podcast that has nothing to do with our life. We don't have mopeds.
Why
we're
don't
not
why
outlaws.
did you call it
Speak
success?
for yourself. I'm an outlaw.
There is a story behind it, but we've told the story a few times. We'll tell it to you. It involved hallucinogenics, the police, all sorts of
I
fun
see.
stuff.
Well, that sounds like a good movie.
Hey, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Because I've seen a bit of you, and what little preparation I did. You are a very colorful character.
Well,
And I was wondering at what point in your life, like what was behind you deciding, hey, this is who I'm going to be?
after I failed at everything else. That's right.
Is that part of it?
Absolutely. You go through school. I went in the Navy and, during Vietnam and got out, got an MBA, started businesses. They failed at an MBA in computers. I had a software company that failed. And then, God, I said, geez, I'm doing everything like people told me to do. I'm not having fun doing it, and I'm failing. So this sounds like a stupid way to live. That maybe I'm going to have fun in 30 years, so I'm going to be miserable for 30 years to maybe have fun. See, that's not a guarantee. So I said, you got to flip that. And I said, you got to have fun today because you can't count on that tomorrow. And then, the colorfulness, then it found out that if everything I was been told that would be successful didn't work for me. So then I started realizing I have to listen to my heart. It's what's weird about you is probably the best thing you have. And in a market or in a personal relationship or anything, I think that if you expand that, see, we're all trying to be, we see somebody else successful, oh, I'll copy that and be successful. No, you're not going to do that as well as that person, and so you have to find out what is unique about you and then blow that up. So, I love making an ass on myself. I did that. Yeah, I was kicked out of a lot of classes in high school and everything, and just being a smart ass. And that, when I dug back into that, that's when things started happening, because then that's more authentic, and I think for all of us. And then you have something special to give. If you're trying to give what everybody else could get, a dime a dozen, then that's not an interesting, contribution to society, is it? And you don't need, like now, especially on the internet, you don't need 1 million customers for anything. When I sold books, you had to make a book that appealed to a mass market because that's where you sold. So to be in Walmart, everybody and his brother had to relate to it. So you couldn't be weird. But now I don't need 1 million people. A couple thousand is all I need, and I'm happy. So, and the rest of my life is like that. Every time I get off course, I say that, and now I have the phrase is, your heart is smarter than your brain. We want to use our brain because we're taught that and everything, but nah. Anything in life you're going to do is fucking hard.
Sure. So you better enjoy it.
Exactly. So, and if you don't, man, then you're going to give up. You're going, I'm not going to do this. I'll be a real estate investor. So, you'll find another way that's easy, you think, and it won't be. And you'll just be popping around at things until you find something that is really inside of you that you really want to figure out. Because I think starting a business, starting anything, look at all the idiots that are making a lot of money doing shit. So it doesn't take a mental genius, to do anything in this country. It's just hanging in there long enough till you figure it out. And so if you think you'll be a millionaire by next Thursday and it doesn't happen, fuck it, I'm going to do something else. Can't do that.
Well, we've stuck with this podcast we're going on our 5th season, and we love hanging out and talking to people and just being ourselves. So we're in the right place.
Right.
And hopefully the money gods will
Right.
begin to shine on us because we've got things we want to do with that money, including
Like
we have a
buying
couple.
mopeds.
Want to buy a moped?
Well, we'd love to be moped riders and do our show and relate it to mopeds, but so far the economics of that aren't working for us yet. Yeah, so that's fabulous. I love the way you framed that and the spirit behind that. And what's something that you look forward to that you haven't really applied yourself to yet?
Wow. At 81, just fucking being above ground. The bar is pretty low.
I woke up. I'm good.
Right, exactly.
Thank you.
And I'm having a better time in my life now than ever. You know,
And is it true that one of the most, pivotal things you're known for in the last 10 years is that you help people create wealth for themselves?
Yes, and show people about government programs that could help you. And I started this I got an MBA, and I was a consultant to Fortune 500 companies, and I was doing research for them, market research and stuff like that. And I was in Washington, D.C., and they'd want to start a company or buy a company or a market they want to get in. And I do the market studies and the competitive analysis, and I was getting all this information from the government. The government had anything, and this is before the internet, so this is back in the 70s. And I'd show them money to buy it, and Procter & Gamble wanted to start a chain of pasta stores, so I'd be able to find somebody in the government who is an expert in the pasta industry. And I go down and make an appointment to see him, and he'd give me all these free studies that they did, and I take his name off of it and put my name on it and sell it to Procter & Gamble. See, nothing in the government is copyrighted. So you could take anything in the government. My first New York Times bestseller was a book I plagiarized the whole goddamn thing from the government printing office book. It's called The Catalog of Federal Domestic Assistance. I just changed the headlines and sent it to Penguin Viking. They published it, and I go out and act like an idiot on TV and became a New York Times bestseller and didn't write a lick. And I flunked English in college. That was the best part. So I tried to call that English teacher.
And now Elon Musk is trying to destroy all of that.
Right. Well, I think his motive is because he wants more of it.
That was kind of tongue in cheek, really.
Yeah, right.
But it is true that the government, there's so many weird things that the government
Yeah.
produces, right? Like
Yeah.
if I wanted to go write a book about penguin mating season, I could probably find a government document
Right.
to do exactly what you said, right? Or
moped.
shuffleboard,
Right.
naked shuffleboard
Exactly.
strategies, right? Like,
Oh, I did that one.
All right. Another bestseller.
it was a slippery wicket.
Right. No, it's true. But there's so many people hurting in this country now. This is why I feel obligated to do it. We have what's amazing in our country now. We're the richest country in the world. We have more millionaires than anybody. But we're also have the highest people in poverty. There's more people in poverty in the United States than any other developed country. This is the percentage of people in poverty. The United States is 17% in poverty. Now, this is just the developed countries, so we don't have Africa or whatever. So the average for developed countries is about 10%. We're 17, so we're number one. We're number one in creating poverty.
It's interesting that Israel's second.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. And then Turkey, Chile,
Yeah.
So
Mexico.
How do we take this podcast to the point where Greg and I can just do the podcast and not have to do anything else?
You got great income. Where the hell are you getting income from this?
From Starbucks.
Yeah. We spent our annual budget in the first 3 days of operation here.
So there's a couple of things. I mean, what I would do, first of all, see, if you go to SBA.gov, now you don't want to contact the SBA, but they have a database there. And it's SBA.gov, then /local-assistance. And if you go to that website, SBA.gov/local-assistance, and put in your zip code, and where are you guys at?
We're in Northern California near
I see.
SF.
Okay. So you'll find probably a half a dozen, a 2 dozen, maybe 3 dozen nonprofit organizations that grant money to help you figure out your idea on how to make money out of this podcast. That's what they do. I mean,
Right.
I'd be going to these places for my Fortune 500 companies. They were too lazy to do it. Rich people pay for anything. I charge them thousands of dollars to get all this free information and mark it up like hell. And
All right, well, Greg and I know what our next business meeting's gonna be.
Yeah, exactly.
but no, I mean, they help you anything. It's also, when the podcasting is so hot of a topic now, and even something like Podmax Match, right? Is that what you guys are on? That's what I'm on.
Yeah.
That's where we found each other. I mean, that's over $6 a month for marketing. Wow. I mean, that's amazing. And it's
Yeah.
cool. Where else are you gonna do that?
Yeah, you get to meet a lot of really
Yeah.
interesting and unusual people, for sure.
But it's all about creating income. What do you have of value that people would pay for? And that's why they could help you think through that.
So in this case, sarcasm and deep
Right.
insight.
Right.
That's our ingredient. I'm wondering, Matthew, I checked into a few streams that you were doing,
Uh-huh.
and I saw that your brand also was giving out loans. Like I saw a woman who had
Oh.
received, I guess, a competition of some sort, and she was receiving a car payment.
Yeah. Yeah, I just started this about 3 years ago or so. After people didn't buy reference books anymore, that's what I was really in the business of. Yeah. How am I going to sell this stuff? So I started a little, like a newsletter or something, and that turned into community. And it grew like I couldn't believe. And now we have about 15,000 people that just help each other do this. They don't even need me.
Well,
How could
that's
you
what I
trust
was-
me? Yeah, but
I
no.
was wondering,
Yeah, no.
do you find that a lot of people are looking like that I'm a millionaire next Thursday
Yeah.
fixed, instead of really wanting to do the work of increasing?
I fight that every day. Yeah.
That's what
And that's the hard thing. We all want a quick fix and everything. And shit, it took you years to get into this trouble. You think they want to push a button and be out of it? Yeah.
Maybe that could be your first statement is, look, you worked really hard for your poverty. It's going to take the same work to get out of it.
But the grants, yes. What all of a sudden, actually, during the COVID, the government gave my business like $20,000 or something. I said, I didn't need it. Why are they giving me money? And so I decided to give it to my members because most of my members are struggling. We only charge $20, and that's what it was. I used to charge $20,000 to people to get this information, but they didn't need it. It's not fun helping people who don't really need you. So I wanted to be able to do it for $20 because they're the people who really need it, and we became very profitable very easily. It just shocked me. So that's what we do with our profits. We give it back to members. So every month we give out like anywhere from $50,000 to $70,000. I mean, I thought you had to be Jeff Bezos or his ex-wife to do something like that, and no, a little schmuck like me from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, could do it too, and that's very gratifying. But it's funny how people are scamming us. They scam us that they're winners and they really aren't. It's becoming an overhead issue.
It's like a national sport.
Exactly. That's right.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So so you have a team to help vet?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have an office. Everybody's virtual. I have somebody working with me maybe 20 years. I haven't seen in 5-10 years, The best employees are the ones you never see.
Yeah, that is the age we live in.
So one of the things I noticed about your marketing for the services that you offer in this club was that I saw it on social media. What kind of social media advertising investment have you made over the years? Like, what's your yearly advertising budget?
Well, now it's nothing that I know of. Well, maybe every once in a while we put our toe into it. The way I learned about marketing is I never had money to market. And so even in the beginning, years ago, then I said, well, and I'd buy ads, like in the Wall Street Journal. This was back in the 70s. I'd buy a little 1-inch ad or something like that because I was helping businesses get information. And I just get stupid stuff in the mail, people writing in on napkins, what they need, nothing really legit. And so I said, God, if I got somebody to write me up, about what I'm doing, instead of buying a cheap little ad, not only do I get somebody with their arm around me who's legit, and talking about it. And I say, hey, that's the way to do it. And then even, then I was a professional guest on talk shows. Because back then, there were 4 or 5 talk shows in every city. There's a Good Morning Altoona, Pennsylvania, and a Good Afternoon Altoona, Pennsylvania. 5 radio shows doing talk shows. So I go city to city and do 50 cities, and do like 6, 7, 8 shows a city. Go to the next city, and get all this free stuff. And then I say, well, I figured out how to do that. Then I started doing my own infomercials, and then even that, I never bought time. I'd buy time in the beginning, and it wouldn't work, because what the value of that ad for them is different than for you. So you got to find out what the ad is value for you. So what I was doing, then I say, okay, I don't know what it's worth, and I don't have a lot of money. So if nobody buys that time, give it to me, and I'll give you half the money. Because I was able to see where all my orders came from. So I give them half the money. I mean, if your book is in a store, you give them half the money. That's what a store gets out of it. So I said, you're going to bring me a customer, I'll give you half the money. And that's how I really, because a lot of dead time. That's why you saw me a lot, me right after a Smokey the Bear commercial or something, in the middle of the night.
And what was the method that you accessed vast network of local TV station advertising
There's a
opportunities?
directory for everything, especially now, with the internet. That's it's all pounding away. There's no shortcut to anything. You got to make 100 calls, or you go in Google and spend a couple months getting nothing there, or you get a list of potentials and you just bang away. There's no shortcut. And then that got very big for me. Then I was able to buy it because I knew what really sold and what it's worth to me. So I was able to buy commercials. Now I rarely do. And on the internet,
So at the advent of the social media sort of uptick in the middle of the 2000s,
right.
There was a point at which you might have gone like all in or at a higher level of buy. And what was your strategy, and how did that work?
Well, it never was how much I'm going to buy. It's how much, how to use social media. I mean, to me, social media is incredible. I mean, when I grew up, if you wanted to have a business like a store or something like that, it cost you about $1,000 to have a store, right? Now, for $20, you have a store on Etsy. So now you have all these social media is marketing. I mean, that's what it is. So I still
So
do.
for instance,
Yeah.
we have a store
Right.
we have our stuff on the store,
Right. Okay.
but we get 0 sales a month.
Right. Because
So what are we doing wrong?
nobody's coming there, right?
Right.
Right. So you don't know what really is going to work. You try a whole bunch of shit, and all the experts, they say that's going to work, and that's fine, but they're going to ask you for money, and you don't know it works anyway, so you can't give them money you don't know work. You start doing anything, okay, what's a hook that you could have? You have followers, and be on every platform. You don't know what platform is going to work for you, and that's why you do everything. You cut this down and do a 1 minute, 2 minute kind of things.
We're doing that. That'll
Yeah.
happen with this for
Okay.
sure.
Well,
What we
that-
aren't including is a link to the Etsy store every
Yeah.
time we put something out there. So maybe we should try that.
Oh,
idea.
absolutely. Why else are you doing it?
Well, and one of the reasons we want this is not just for ourselves. We've picked 2 charities that we're
I
really
see.
passionate about, and we want to be able to
Ah.
provide revenue like you've built, right?
Right.
Like there's a point at which we'd like to give more
Right.
to get more, right?
Right.
that's really a great model, I think. Well,
Well-
enough about us.
You sound
Thank
like
you for that. That's inspiring for sure.
you
And
sound like an
I
ex-wife.
recently
yeah.
bought some more colored shirts because black's been a bad habit for a while for me. So I'm going to break out of that. But what do you want from your life now? Like, aside from just getting up in the morning.
Yeah. Loving more. I really just the last couple of years. I don't know about you guys, but so we're different generations. But I grew up. You never even said the word love. I mean, I don't remember anybody in my house saying it. We liked each other and we were nice people, but it didn't. And now, especially as you get older, I mean, especially guys, I think in our society, you concentrate on being stronger, faster, smarter, and all
Richer.
that. At 80, none of that shit's going to get better. So no matter how much I work on that, that ain't going anywhere. But I feel one thing I can do better is love. I got to love better. Yeah, and that opens your heart. You know, when I just say the word, because it was a word I never used. You know. I thought I had to marry you if I said that.
Right. And like you said, the heart is smarter than the mind.
Right, exactly. And so how do you open that heart? Because that makes everything in life a lot easier somehow. And you have to fight it because you got assholes all around you.
Let me ask you, because you alluded earlier that in the realm of wealth,
Uh-huh.
work is involved. It's not going to happen overnight.
Oh, absolutely.
So with this choice of love, have you found that it is a moment to moment practice to keep opening your
Oh,
heart?
absolutely. You know, you have to, because I say that our society doesn't encourage it. Somebody's going to piss you off, and all this stuff. You know, there's a lot of assholes out there.
Especially if you're driving.
Right. So it's really hard to do that. Yeah, and community. I mean, I had no friends for a long. I mean, I liked people and was always around people. But personally, my wife had all the friends, and she'd drag me to parties I hated going. But I was happy when I went and enjoyed it all. And now we moved down an apartment in Washington, D.C. We have about 70 people in the building. And I throw a party every 2 months at least. You know, I had 3 rock and roll bands out in the driveway of our apartment building. And just to be close to people. And I just, smoking and loneliness are the 2 things that will make your life longer if you solve those problems. Than
Got it.
anything
So
else.
not smoking and having lots of community will
Right.
give you a longer life.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you find that interacting, like making a conscious choice to build community, moved you out of your comfort zone? Did you have to be
Oh, yeah.
almost like a muscle workout? You had to like,
Yes.
I'm doing this.
Right. Oh, definitely. But it's a little easier now at 80. You know, you at 40 or 50, you still have a lot of demons you're working on. And so at 80, it's a little easier, I think.
What would you say to your 40-year-old self that may have helped them to do it regardless of the
Yeah.
demon?
Just do it. Try it. It's sort of be surprised. I mean, the only thing I think that stops any of us from doing anything is us. Nobody's out there. Everybody's not out there. Oh, we're going to see how we could fuck up Greg today. But that's what we think, right?
Right. Yep.
So nobody's really spending any time on Greg.
Except for Greg.
Right,
And
except for
he's a
Greg.
mess.
And he knows he's an asshole.
Getting out of our own way. Like
Right,
just-
exactly. That's what stops us. And just do it. Look, that used to stop me a lot because I couldn't think of an idea good enough. I couldn't think of a product good enough or anything like that. And then I looked around. All the stuff I buy is really shit. You know, I mean, it's not perfect. And I think I have to have my product. No, nobody buys perfect. They can't afford it.
No,
They
that's
buy
right.
what they want. They buy
Right.
desire. They buy their
Exactly.
heart.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the heart.
Aspiration.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's a.
I think you just clipped on another important element to success is we think we need to get it perfect before we present it to
Right.
the world.
Yeah, I think the nuns did that to me.
Oh, so you were a Catholic school boy.
Right, yeah. I actually flunked out of Jesuit prep school too.
Wow. I can't imagine your colorful character being in the church environment.
No, it was the Jesuits that got me out of Catholicism. The first people that made me think.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
All right.
So what was the distinction between Catholicism and the Jesuit order?
Oh, it's a part of the Jesuits, but they're sort of classier bunch of intellectuals or something. They're big in liberation theology and stuff like that. Yeah.
And would you say God has taken a different shape with you now in your life? Like the Christian metaphor doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily hold water for you anymore,
Oh
and maybe
yeah,
it's
no,
broader and bigger.
yeah, no, I don't think about it at all. I mean, I went to catechism classes. We indoctrination stuff as a kid, and you just memorize shit. I didn't know anything.
So does that mean you've kind of eschewed a spiritual religion
Yeah,
totally?
I never thought about it intellectually. It just was natural. What am I doing this for?
Right.
So
So
it wasn't.
it's just, joy seems like your spiritual practice.
That's a nice way to put it. I know, but yes, I think also joy is the lubricant to get through all the shit you got to get through. Because as a human, man, you're not going to get out of this alive, and you're going to get beat up all along the way. So, yeah, and we'll take it personally because it is. They're beating you up, but it really isn't personal. Yeah.
That's
So
why-
what? Go ahead,
My
Greg.
sister is a very devout Christian, but
Mhm.
her and her husband are Christian in a very real, heartfelt manner.
Uh-huh.
And what you just said about you're going to get beat up every day, enjoys the lubricant through it. She says a very similar thing in
Ah.
a sense like this life isn't the life divinity intended for us.
Yeah.
And to traverse it is, as you say, joy and love,
All right.
the two things to keep focused on.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the one thing I learn as I get older is that none of us have the right to tell anybody else how to live. Because we're all struggling. We don't know what the fuck to do. None of us.
Maybe selling Teslas on the White House lawn is a good idea.
Talk about an infomercial.
Oh my God. If I didn't know better, I would say I just watched a Doonesbury live show.
Oh gosh, but it's right. We go to these experts to tell us how to live our life or whatever, and they don't know what to do with their own life. And the problem is, I think particularly when we get those 5 steps to success or whatever, yeah, it's not going to work for everybody. You can't. And what worked for somebody probably won't work for you because we're all so different. And you can't. And then when I feel that that's bad, because when step number 3 you fail, then you'll just blame that guy who told you to do it, and not taking apart why it happened. See, if it's your own step 3 that failed, you'll figure it out why. What the fuck happened? But you have somebody else to blame and not you.
This is a brilliant insight because we so often don't take the responsibility for our own outcomes. That's one of the most
Exactly.
pivotal
Yeah,
steps in the
right.
process.
Absolutely. That's
What were you going to say?
Well, I was wondering, Matthew, if you see part of your business is being in people's corner, encouraging them to keep at it. Because
Yes.
part of what you just said is there's that razor's edge of everyone's fucked up and doesn't
Right.
really know what they're doing. And yet you're in the world as an authority of resources for finances.
Right. No, that's nice to hear. And as you say that, I don't think I'm only somebody on the street, a customer. There's just something in me that feels possessed to, hey, tell me what's wrong. I can give you 3 phone numbers right now. Maybe able to help you. And that I feel is like a superpower that I feel responsible, to give people if that could help. And I think part of it is what you're saying, is that someone pays attention, you know, and that's what it's all about. I remember raising kids that, you know, you can't tell them to go to their room and study, you know, but if you sit next to them for a couple hours, that's what they want, is attention.
Or you could do what my dad did and stood over me with a baseball bat while I did my
Oh, that's why you're so smart.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's
He
why he's
tried
so
that one
thick-headed
time.
anyway. The other issue is these things. Do you
Oh,
have one
God,
of
yeah,
these?
yeah. Well, I think they're the key to the information explosion. We get so much information now that Google is a hazard, because Google is just there to sell you stuff. So the stuff that, okay, I have another chart. I hope you guys are taking notes, because I'm gonna have a test later.
Well, we're recording,
We'll be
so we'll
watching
just
this
review it.
again.
I don't know, I lost that. But there's 40% of our economy gives away money. 40%. And that's community, the community economy. That's government offices and nonprofit organizations, okay? They give away money and free services. 60% is capitalism. So we have 40% of community helping each other. You know, sort of like your house is on fire, or the firemen come over and they don't ask for your credit card, but they put out the fire, right? So they do all this stuff for free. So we have so much of an infrastructure like that for anything, starting a business and buying a house. And we have all these community things that help you do all these things that people don't know about. But they go to Google, and that's 60%, and you're missing the best 40%. Because everybody there just wants your money. And when you call them, then you say, oh, I don't have any money, so I can't do what I want to do. You can. You're looking in the wrong places, you know. And
Does ChatGPT help you
Yes, it
find
does.
that 40%?
yes, because you could go to ChatGPT, and if you put in, okay, you want to buy a house, and I don't know where you are in California, so put it looking for. See, you met the only people that give out grants are nonprofit organizations and government offices. Nobody gives out grants in company. Well, we do, but that's a little aside. But the real ones are nonprofit or government office. So you could go to ChatGPT or any of them and say, give me a listing of programs. You know, you could say, I usually do like 50 programs in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that will help me buy a house. And then put in from government or nonprofit organizations. You'll get them exactly that. And because I know them all, and I do this all the time. Yeah, that's what I love about that. But, you know, I think what's going to happen when that gets more and more popular, they're going to be selling ads, aren't they?
Or it'll be behind a paywall.
Right, exactly, yeah. So, no.
All right, so ChatGPT is currently spitting out a list for podcast success in our area. So,
Done.
yeah.
Okay, now,
Alright.
you have to put out, it depends on what you want. You want help from nonprofit and government offices, but actually the SBA office is what you should do. And I'd call a few of those. That, you know,
You
Go
know what? You just reminded me, Matthew. There was a point early on when we put this together that we thought trademarking our brand, Moped Outlaws, and the
Yeah.
logo was a good idea, because I saw friends of mine who had a gym lose their brand to
Yeah.
someone. Someone wrote it like 3 years after they
Yeah.
had started and came to them and said, you got to stop.
Yeah.
And there was a nonprofit legal entity that helped people in the arts,
Right,
and we consider this an art,
Right.
you know, creative. But I didn't get anywhere because it was so difficult to communicate what we needed. And I kept being put on these email threads of disinformation.
well,
Or information
Yeah.
that wasn't
I
relevant.
would think what do you want to do, is not copyright, a trademark. You want to get a trademark.
Trademark. That's what it was. Trademark.
But see, the people at the SBA thing, they'll help you do that. Yeah.
Okay.
But on the other thing, I would say, I wouldn't worry about it.
Right.
Because what you have to do is first create, we have so many ways to pretend we're in business that have nothing to do with your success in business. Yeah. Like success in any business is getting a customer. So you got to figure that out first. Yeah. So you'll get the
Yeah.
legal help, you get the LLC, you get all this kind of stuff, and you still have a customer, no money coming in. So you do that first, and then if you see some light there, then you could cover your ass. And you don't even, do anything with the IRS or city, county, whatever. Forget it. It's going to take you 3 years. Oh, you've been around for 3 years. It'll take you years to find you.
Well, we haven't been visually available
I see.
monetarily to people, so
Yeah.
we can make that happen.
Yeah.
It's coming.
So
But the thing about this conversation is
Uh-huh.
that those of you who are listening to us, all 12 of you, are going to be
both
able
of them.
are going to be able to translate this for yourself.
Yeah.
Like the whole idea that you're somehow trapped or can't or unable.
Right.
We invite you in this moment to lean in with your heart and dissolve that fear-based reality and become a beacon of the thing that makes you uniquely you.
Right.
We need you.
Right, exactly. The world needs what's weird about all of us because we got so much of everybody pretending they're just like everybody else. We don't need any more of that. And we all have something special. And then that's what grows. And when you find that, then that's able to grow. And then you have to find the right pot. Like if you're a gardener, you have plants that they have to be in the right pot to grow.
And there's a whole TV industry built around women who argue with each other.
Maybe
There's all the evidence you need.
that's our new podcast, Women Who Argue with Each Other.
That's not ours. 'Cause that's not going to work. That's somebody else's. But we'll find out.
I'll dress in drag if it brings
Right,
the income.
exactly.
Not me. I draw the line there.
Oh, then we'll be the odd couple.
Okay.
Or the G-string.
I can deal with that.
No.
So you said rock bands. You like to have rock bands. Like, what are some of the rock bands that you love to listen to most? What were your go-to?
I don't.
No, really? Just the local bands that you have.
Just these
come
are
to your
local.
party.
They're rock and roll. Just got people moving and dancing and something like that. Real hard music and.
It's the same
that's
for
why-
musicians. This same idea because there's
Yeah.
how can everybody be the Stones or be
Exactly.
Lady Gaga?
Right.
You can't. But you
Exactly.
can be yourself.
Absolutely. And if their heart's in it, and it's fun to see. I mean, I love artists because they're so lucky they know what they have to do. The rest of us, we can't play music, we can't do all the, no. But we all are artists at something. So we have to find out what that art is. And then they have to play rock and roll band, even they're on the D list, because they just have to do this in life, right? And that's the joy of life. You have to find the things that you really want to do, whether you get paid or not, and then figure out how do we get paid for it too. And that's why the only thing I saw growing up were artists, singers, dancers, these things, people on TV. I never knew, I could be a researcher artist or whatever.
Well, also, I would say, Matthew, just looking at you and then the mirrors reflecting the background of your living space.
Right.
And part of what I see is the physicality of your joy and open heart. It's colorful, it's inviting, it's joyful. I'm uplifted in your presence.
Well, I mean, I walk down the street like this every day. Even when I jog or run, exercise or whatever, it's all cartoon stuff. And the biggest joy to me is people look at me and smile. They don't know my work or anything like that, but they smile. And that to me also is just almost like an obligation. Man, I can make somebody smile by just doing what I enjoy doing. I mean, that is a wonderful gift. I'm going to show you some other stuff here. Maybe if I could get this AI thing to work.
Yeah, go ahead and share your screen.
Yeah. No, not my screen. The apartment.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
See the hole in the wall?
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, that is beautiful. I love that.
That's a little hallway. And we put that. Then there's something else.
for the radio audience, he's turning his camera to the right and left, and
Yeah,
we just
jump
saw
to
a
YouTube.
porthole.
Oh, you see?
Porthole.
Ah, you do love cartoons.
Right. And there's a button there you could press that Porky Pig goes, "Beep, beep, beep, beep." That's all, folks. You know?
Oh, that is brilliant.
And that's
Okay, well then you
that's-
must know
what?
that this weekend there's a feature film, a Looney Tunes feature film that's launching today.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Yeah, it's a wow. So if you don't know about this, go to your Google or wherever you want to
Okay.
go to find movies and go see the brand new full-length feature Looney Tunes cartoon that launches today. Now, for those of you listening later, this is March 14th to us.
Uh-huh.
You'll probably be hearing this later,
Right.
and you can go to your digital channel and see it. Hopefully.
Oh,
Have
that's
you,
good.
Matthew, have you and your wife ever gone to Toontown at Disneyland?
Don't think so. Maybe I was earlier or something. What's
Okay.
Toontown? Just cartoons there?
Yeah, they do a very good job of creating a very cartoon-like environment
I
that's
see.
interactive. You know,
Yeah.
there's a TNT handle that you can push
I
down
see.
and blows up a building. A lot of fun stuff.
Now, I remember somebody, when doing talk shows, somebody said, "Boy, you look like a cartoon cell." You know, the people who draw the.
Well, I keep looking at your eyeglasses, and it's
Uh-huh.
amazing to me how they look like they are
Part of a
animated.
comic. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, they're cheap
Those
from
are-
China. Tell you the truth.
Well, they're
But this style and intention,
I
if you
see,
have
yeah,
that in your
right.
heart, you'll end
Yeah.
up finding the things.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And if blue nails and blue hair and black
Right.
clothes and heavy mascara is your thing,
Right.
then that's what you'll find. You'll find your
Absolutely.
goth way of
Right.
being. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what do you guys do in addition? Because you just said you're not making a ton of dough here, right?
Well, Greg's a film producer
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
and a graphic editor,
Uh-huh.
a film editor, as well as a somewhat of a graphic editor.
Mark's a Jedi Knight.
That's for the hat is a jet.
Yeah, this is actually the Rebel Alliance symbol I am wearing on my
I
hat,
see.
yes. And I am a Jedi Knight. I appeared in a Star Wars film as a Jedi Knight.
Oh, really?
But I don't get any money from that, so that's not how I make my living. But
Well,
He is
that's-
a coach to and entrepreneurs and
oh, really? Cool.
and mostly with men who are very successful in the business world
Uh-huh.
and have lost their personal connections, and he helps them to get in touch with their heart and
Yeah.
how to be masculine in a positive manner.
Right. Oh,
thank you for that, Greg.
Yeah. No, that's
I love that we can speak about each other's
Right.
things that we do.
Exactly.
That's really important because I hate telling people.
I know, and
how-
you don't
how I
know,
work,
and then,
because it just-
then you'll say it in ways that is more digestible or something, and when you hear it
right,
from
and
somebody
then,
else,
and then you're dumbing it down.
exactly.
like- My favorite way of describing what I do is I'm a transformation agent provocateur.
Holy shit, you gotta know how to spell all that.
I have trouble with
know
the
what that means.
provocateur part. I do. I have trouble with the provocateur part, but it's a UER at the end. I know that much.
No, I mean, all the help now we have with coaches, and everything is phenomenal. I mean, there was never
Yeah.
this kind of thing earlier. And that's, I think, part of the loneliness thing, that we're all struggling so much without community. You know?
Yeah.
Uh,
Have you noticed a change in just the past 3 months with Doge now being very prominent in the federal realm?
oh, shit, yeah. But
So you,
oh, yeah, I mean, live in Washington, I mean, now everybody's getting fired. The building, there's so many people, and I send out email, okay, here's where to go and what to do to, get more money while you lost your job, or what to do and stuff like that. But more importantly, in my work, what happens, people like this come in and do something. Everybody thinks the government's gone. Oh, I can't apply for anything. Oh, shit. I mean, he's nibbling around the edges and making more noise than, but he's hurting people. But for the programs people need to get ahead, they're not affected at all.
okay.
But what he affects more is long range. So particularly in the next year or two, not a whole lot will change, but what he's doing now can change years and years from now.
So in your experience and expertise, you believe that a couple years from now
Yeah.
is when the real impact will be felt.
Right.
Are there
Go ahead.
things you would recommend for an individual to be ready for these large
No.
changes?
No, because people have to solve their problems now. You're going to have
Okay.
different problems in 3 years, so worry about it then.
Okay.
It's the same thing as loneliness and community are the big solutions.
Exactly.
If we can solve community,
Right. Exactly.
like even in the most dire times, what we
Right.
find is having someone to sit and have tea with
Right.
can soothe so much of it.
Absolutely. Oh, and I remember the way I learned about these programs was my family was in a flood. It wiped out the business and the whole city and everything in northeastern Pennsylvania. And we went out there, and what was so neat about everybody, no matter what income, was devastated. So we hang out at bars at the end of the night shoveling your house or whatever. And it was such a community because it wasn't just the poor people or just the rich people. Yeah,
Looks like
everybody.
your AI has a mind of its own.
Yeah, I know. That's a AI, you know,
Anomaly.
right. Well, no, when I move my hands, then it thinks, oh, he's leaving. I better watch him. I don't know what that's
Yeah.
AI cameras are terrible.
Yeah. You have said you have a wife. I don't know if she's still with us or
You hear her?
that's her. Okay. And,
Did she hear that Greg asked the question?
Right.
and children. So you
Yeah.
have a family.
Yeah.
How did your family do with this transformation you created of yourself?
Well, family, I mean, I had 2 wives before, so you're talking about the current wife, right? So I was sort of like different than the other 2. I was still struggling about what I was. And my kids didn't know any different. The problem was, see, my cars had question marks on them and everything. Problem when they're going through middle school, you know, they didn't want me to pick them up with my car. or at 3rd grade, I went to talk to one of them in the classes, and he said, "Dad, I'm going to do this if you're going over the top too much."
In 3rd grade, that's
Right.
brilliant.
What does he do
Did
now?
that person go on to be a director in life?
No, he does. He's doing very well. He went out to be a lawyer, and he was chief of staff for the Surgeon General, and now they're working on a loneliness project. So the Surgeon General thinks this is the past one, not the new guy. This is the most important. There goes it's starting to take a walk, and leaving me behind. Yeah, so they're working on a big loneliness project for our country. Yeah, and the other guy's out in the middle of the woods somewhere. He's a sort of hippie and an IT guy, and yeah, a little
Counterculturalist.
yeah, that's yeah. So he doesn't like urban life and wants to stay away from people. But he's cool. I mean, do you guys know Burning Man?
Yeah.
Okay, here's my street cred for him. He wrote the app for Burning Man on how to find your friends
Oh, wow.
at Burning Man. So he's an app guy and an IT guy. He just had a child. He's like 40-something. The other guy's about 43 years younger. He's about 2-3 hours away from us. The other one is just like 20 minutes walk with 3 kids. Just had a 3rd one. And I think 2 of them are coming over tonight. And they're great because they're like 1 and 4 or something like that. They laugh at anything. Adults, yeah, I'm a little boring for them. Yeah, they don't
Oh,
get
that
it.
would surprise me. I think a 1 and 4-year-old would be entranced.
Yeah.
by it.
Oh God, they just can't get over it. It's fun. Do something funny. They call me popcorn.
I love it. That's brilliant.
Speaking of which, if you go to the movies,
Uh huh.
what popcorn do you like? How do you have your popcorn?
Plain. I don't. I
Plain.
love the butter, but I know, you know, I'm a fat guy inside. I mean, I'm a short, fat kid my most life, and I'm still that in my head. Even though you look at me, you see Dachau, but I'm still a short, fat kid.
And is that because you watch everything you eat properly, and that's how
I
you made
do,
it
but
to 80?
only just not to gain weight. I could just gain weight like everything is instant Lesco if I put it in my mouth. So I have to fight that. So I exercise. I've been running for 6 miles a day for about 45 years or something like that. Just last couple of years I had to stop running, and that really worked for me. But I was tripping. My muscles were fine, my bones were fine, but my brain doesn't act fast enough. And you shuffle a little more, so stuff like that.
So are you walking now? Is that what you
I
do
did,
now?
but that takes so fucking long to do 6 miles. That's like a half a day. So now I go to the gym and do some ellipse things or
Nice.
whatever. Yeah.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah.
As we start to wind this down, are there any things that you wanted to share with our audience that we haven't discussed yet?
Well, I think let me give them a few places to start. Okay. One of the best things to do without going to Google, first of all, never go to Google unless you have money. But go to a website called findhelp.org. Can you guys go on? Anybody? Can you do that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Greg, do you want to handle that?
Okay.
We're
Fine.
going to go to findhelp.org and then share the screen, right? Present the screen.
Either
Help.
way. I just want to see.
.org.
You see
And then
it?
share the screen.
It's under the present button between settings and invite. He's doing it, ladies and gentlemen. I can see the look in his eyes. For those of you that don't- Here we go.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
now
there,
I'm
okay.
going to put in,
Your zip code.
whoops. I'm dyslexic, I guess.
That's how we're all fucked up.
Search.
All right. Okay.
Wow.
Wow. 3,000 programs.
3,112 nonprofit organizations and government offices that give you money.
Wow.
See? I mean, look at all the tabs on top. You know,
Yeah, that's crazy.
uh,
Help pay for internet. There's 11. Help pay for housing, 104.
right.
Help pay for gas.
Right, exactly. See? People
That's
don't
crazy.
read. I know. It's like put up on top there, and there's a little search bar. Like put up rent.
Okay, wait. Now I have to go back to.
Oh, we have to undo. Are we past that?
No, hold on. It just takes me. There we go.
Okay.
I
Okay,
found-
up there on the left on top, see a little search bar? So you just
Yep.
put in what you want, like financial assistance. You lied, huh?
There we go.
Well, what's the number of people there? 300 and what?
Yes, so
302.
Yeah, so there's
for
three.
those of you who are just listening, we've just done a search on a web page, and Greg found 302 different ways to receive financial assistance from his zip code area.
Right.
Yeah. So this is findhelp.org.
.org, yeah.
Really simple.
I know, that's what I mean, I don't know why I have to keep doing this. It gives me something to keep me on the street, though. So that's important to know. I think for anything, you could start there. Here's another one I like is careeronestop.org.
Careeronestop.org.
Right.
So do you find that when doing this, going to a .org is more beneficial than a .com?
Oh, shit, yeah. I mean, first of all, it's going to be somebody who gives away money. The .coms are somebody who want to get your money.
Okay.
They're selling you something. So that's why you want a .org or .gov. They're the only people that give money. So here, you find a local source. I mean, this is every county has these offices, and you could put your zip code in there, and you make an appointment with them. This is if you looking for a job or want to get training for something, and as a business. So if you, as a podcast multimedia organization, want to hire somebody and train them in something, you could get grant money here to train your employees. You could get grant money here to hire new employees too. So it's all about workforce development and getting people better jobs and training them for that. And businesses keeping competitive and having new skills to compete in the world, you know. So that's what's there. So that's what anybody looking for work and things like that is what you want to do. And find help, you could go there too and put a lot of job training there. But the other one I really like is Needy Meds, NEEDY MEDS.
Like needy meds.
All right.
.org.
Org, yes. Okay, now you see the second tab on the left? Yeah, that one.
Healthcare.
Click there.
Healthcare savings tab.
Right. So the first on the left there is all about getting prescription drugs for free. Now, this is the stuff you get in the schoolyard. You know, these are prescription drugs for free. And then below that, you see medical clinics, dental clinics, free and low-cost mental clinics and dental clinics, and even mental health clinics.
Yeah.
So you click on that and put in your state, you know, maybe dental, okay. Okay. Okay.
And then there's a postal code here.
Right.
And I put in dental because that seems to be the most challenging one.
You bet.
Oh, wow.
So how many do they
There's
have?
quite a few came up.
Right. So in your zip code, there's all those free and low-cost dental clinics, yeah? And you'll never find them. Oh, what do we have?
And look, it accepts uninsured people, all
Right,
income
exactly.
levels accepted,
Right.
English and Spanish.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with this clinic. This is the Marin
Really?
Community Clinic,
Yeah.
and I've been with them for over a decade. It's the best health care I've ever had in my life,
Wow. Cool.
and it's for low-income people.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
See, it's
There's
there.
a little
People-
plug for Marin Community Health Clinics.
Yeah, it's just trying to educate people what we have, just because you live in this country, you know, and everybody can use it. And unfortunately, I feel that the rich people know about this very much. And the people who really need it have no idea or how to use it.
You know, you just touched on one other element about wealth that I think us poor people don't understand. And one of my very wealthy friends said, it's easy to acquire money. Keeping it is the challenge.
Yes.
And I remember a gentleman who owned a restaurant I worked at, and he was a multi-millionaire. And he used to yell at us about the ice that would drop to the floor. He'd say, these are like diamonds. I'd be like, what are you, crazy? It's ice. But I think it's that train of thought that every penny counts.
It does and it doesn't, of course, yeah.
Well-
It's too bad.
I think you want to put joy at the forefront of everything.
Exactly.
And if you're losing your joy by keeping
Right.
the ice off the floor, then
No, we all want to beat up other people because they're not like us. And, to me, love is helping someone else do whatever they want to do.
I love that.
I think
Wow.
that's why we're here. You know, you're not
Wow.
telling people what to do. Tell me what you want to do, and if I love you, I should be helping you do that. You want my opinion? I think it's an asshole, but, you know, okay, if you want to do it, who am I to say? Yeah. And I'll help you do that. And I find, at least I grew up in families that we told each other how to live. That was what breakfast, dinner tables were. What everybody was doing wrong, and as opposed to, you know, helping people do what they want to do. God, we're so different, but we don't realize that.
God, and there the struggle, like I know some people who are in such a state of depression that they
Yeah.
don't know what they want to do.
Exactly. And that's
so-
what keeps them, and that's why you don't have to know. The only thing you have to know is what you're doing now is wrong. That's all you
Not
have to,
working.
right. So
Yeah.
anything above that is great. You don't know, you're not gonna know what perfect is. You build perfect as you're doing shit, you know, and that sort of evolves somehow. You can't finish a painting knowing what it's gonna look like. You know, you have to put some paint on the paper and see what that does, and it does something else. And, you know, like you editing, you know, I have an idea about something. Oh, you did this, and that made you think of something else, and that's what our life is. So it's all art. So we have to build it. And I think the only thing you have to know for sure of what you're doing now is not it. It doesn't. You have to take any step as long as it's away from that. You don't have to wait for perfect because it'll never come. You build perfect.
Well, we have a final question that we ask all our guests.
Oh my goodness.
And sometimes the relevance of the question is quite off brand of what the whole hangout has been, but here it is.
Okay.
Mark, do you want to ask?
Yeah. Eminem or Foo Fighters?
I couldn't. I know Eminem. I don't know Foo Fighters. I know of them, but yeah.
Got it. Understood. Any reason why?
Well, I used to do a lot of media in Detroit, and he's the 10 Mile Road up there is very popular up there.
Yeah. One of our secret wishes after we ask this question is we'd like to see them do something together.
What's that? Oh, Eminem and.
We'd like Eminem and the Foo Fighters to do
Oh,
something
I
together.
see. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What a pleasure to spend time with you. I feel so much more joyful now than when we started.
Nice.
And
you
I'm
said
really
this is-
grateful for your generosity of spirit.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that. That means a lot. I try to brush it off because the nuns told me to do that. When you get compliments.
Take it into your heart.
Yeah,
Let it land.
It's tattooed in there. No, maybe. Yeah, and it's great. I mean, this is a wonderful conversation to have, to talk about real stuff. Everybody wants to talk about, you know, who won the game or some shit like that. You know,
Who did win the game?
and how we struggle through life, I think, is the most important thing to share. And
Yeah, the game I'm playing is how can I be more like Harpo Marx? That means then for the first answer is shut the fuck up.
That's right. Oh, that's great. Well, now where was the bad part? You said there were going to be bad shit. What was the bad stuff?
Oh, we never said it was bad. We just said we follow wherever we want to
Oh,
go.
I see,
And sometimes
okay.
that gets uncomfortable for people.
I see. Okay.
So-
We live in a day and age where we have to have the fine print read out
I
loud.
see.
You know? We may piss you off. Sorry.
Yeah, right. All right.
Well, plus it's a kind of psychological technique. When you say that up front to
Right.
people, then they're actually willing to be much broader and
Yeah.
have more depth
I see,
about
right.
what they talk about, because it sort of sets them up for this idea of, well, I want to have broader edges. I want to have a deeper
Yeah.
conversation. And if there's anything about this podcast, aside from how good Greg and I look, it's going to be the thing, then it's that. It's our willingness to go to places with people that find the deepest parts of humanity and the idea of how we can all live better.
Right.
And you certainly delivered on that, Matthew,
Right.
within spades, or in this case, multicolored extravaganzas.
Well, thank you so much. No, it's fun. That's why sitting on the beach, this is better than that. Playing shitty golf. I grew up, you retired and go to Florida and play golf. Well, you're a shitty golfer. Why do you want to do something you're shitty for the rest of your life?
When you can play miniature golf with
Right.
a clown nose on and have way more fun.
Right, exactly.
With your grandchildren.
All right.
All right, well, thank you again so
You bet.
much, and we're out.
All right.
The recording has ended. So we okay?
We're
Yeah,
done.
we're
We're in the
good.
clear, as they say.
So
Yeah.
where do I send the check again? I didn't.
No,
Oh.
there's no check to be sent. Unless you want to make a donation, you're welcome to make a donation.
Yeah, who are the
Feel
groups
so
you
inclined.
working with? You said you donate. You have two.
There's two. One is called the Compton Cowboys, and that organization is led by descendants of African Americans in Compton, which is a city in
Right.
Los Angeles, which is a very urban place.
Right. No.
And what they do is they take young men and women, mostly men, and they teach them the capacities of being good horsemen.
Oh, really? Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So they create relationships with horses
Yeah.
and show how you could do agrarian things in a
Right.
community that's sort of a far,
Right.
like outrageous thing.
Right.
And then another thing is this organization called Blast, which we found about having one of our guests on, and she is very powerfully creating a national network of people that serve women who have suffered physical and sexual abuse.
Oh.
And she's also a person of color.
Uh-huh.
And so the emphasis is in
Right.
that group of people of color. And this kind of evolves from some classes that Greg and I took just after the pandemic that have taught us a little bit more about how to understand the experience of marginalized people in American culture and how to be more aware and conscious of our impact. And so part of what we want to do is our impact is financial. And so we've adopted these two organizations, and, Podmatch occasionally sends us $100, right? And we give 10% of that to them. So it's not like we're making any big strides, but as we move forward, both Greg and I would like to be able to retire at some point. We're both over 60.
Oh, really?
And
you guys are good.
Yeah. And I, don't run 6 miles a day. Let's put it that way. But we figure that when we align with something greater than ourselves,
absolutely,
that helps immensely.
Absolutely. No, because you get so beat up and you take it so personally. So you have something bigger than you to work on, takes it away from going down those rabbit holes and how shitty life is.
And we're definitely going to be pulling results from, the websites you gave us.
Well, I would make an appointment with these people, at least, at the SBA nonprofits there, to expand your mind about ways to do this. Because especially you're involved in things, there may be training money also to do something like this. Giving people, like if you took the podcast and aimed it at, I don't know, somebody needs help for what, to live a better life, and aim it at a fraction of people that people want to give money to help, So you're creating tools for people to live better, and a marginalized society, those people, and the podcast could be aimed at that. So you could do the podcast and have the bigger mission on that, and then that way. And you maybe want to do a nonprofit. I never do that until somebody's going to give you money and they're going to ask you to be a nonprofit. Then you do it. But until then, it's silly to do it.
The teacher that we worked with has a nonprofit, so if it came to that, we could just move it through their nonprofit and have it go directly to them. But I've gotten a whole bunch of fruitful ideas from this conversation. And I just want a presence that I do need to wrap up. Greg and I have a couple things we need to do here.
Bye.
And then I have another meeting I have to go to. Much love. I hope we get to hear from you soon.
You bet.
If you have something else you'd love to talk about, please let us know.
I only have about 10 years left, so I'll do it quick.
All right. We'll see you later.
Go see the Looney Tunes movie with your grandkids.
Yes. I don't know how to get out of this thing.
All right.
So we go to, oops.
So we'll go out and bounce